There's also a sense of richness and vastness when it comes to the Clairgustance. There's a real sense of abundance, I feel a lot, and this real sense of embodiment, very physical. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Going Dotty. I'm Trace Egan, and in today's video we're going to be covering off the last intuitive element, which is Clairgustance, and let's get into it. So the last intuitive system that we want to be working with is our Clairgustance. Clairgustance correlates to the sense of taste, and therefore it's connected in with the gut, which is also known a lot as the second brain because there's so many neurons and an information system within the gut. Clairgustance, to my mind anyways, really holds that sense of memory. When Clairgustance is active within our system and our field, it's a very, very potent experience. One element here that I'd like to highlight is that I've gone through all of the 5 intuitives very much in the order of how they develop within our life and our world. People tend to be clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, and then our clairaudience and our Clairgustance are generally the last 2 intuitive centres to develop. This is a general rule of thumb, of course, like some people are naturally going to be clairaudient or naturally going to be clairgustant. It would make sense that somebody who's really attuned to music and singing would be, interrelated into clairaudience and very clear up there and very much able to navigate this inner system and hopefully have a more positive experience within that part of their psyche. But generally, as a rule of thumb, our clairvoyance, our clear seeing, our clear feeling and our clear knowing tend to be the 3 strongest senses that most people have active in their field, even if they're not engaging in their intuition, even if they're not, learning about their energy body and energy system. Another element to bear in mind when we're talking about the intuitives is the intuitives can be rather deceptive in the vocabulary and language that they use to express themselves. So what I mean by that is the clairvoyant, clear seeing very rarely actually says I see. So I'll just go through the list here, and again this will be in the description box below so you don't have to try and hold on too much to this information. But the clairvoyant often says I have. The clairsentient often says I see. The claircognizant individual often says I feel. The clairaudient person often says I know. And the clairgustant individual often says I think. So it's like we have a primary intuitive centre that's in operation at any one period of time. And then we have a secondary centre, and it's the secondary centre that we bounce through. So there's an experience and an embodiment of one, and yet it moves through the medium of another one. And this is why when we're trying to understand how to counteract and counterbalance the ego externally, this is why we have to go on the intuitive sensations that we pick up, or the extrasensory perceptions that we pick up. Your clairgustance, your gut will just kind of rumble and tell you information. Or your clairaudience, there might be like a silent bell going off to be like, this doesn't sound right, and you can't quite explain it. You can't quite define it, but you feel it. And often when we're talking about intuition, we will always use the word feeling, because our internal experience while we're in a physical body is a felt experience, and it's not a felt experience physically as such. That's not what I mean. It's our internal experience of being. We feel it. What other word? We don't generally tend to use like many other words, like in the moment of defining it. I just felt this, I just perceived this, I just saw this. You wouldn't say I saw a bell going off. I feel. So much about this intuition and the energetics within intuition is an internally felt experience. And these feelings and sensations, they can be really disconcerting when they first start to happen. And also if we don't know how to be able to read them. So one of the things that we can say about Clairgustance, to my mind anyways, is Clairgustance really has this sense of memory. The memory that is associated with Clairgustance is extremely, extremely strong. Clairgustance is the integrated intuitive. We have the two feminine and the two masculine, but your clairgustance is like the embodied element of all of these things in one. Moments of clairgustance are extraordinarily powerful and they feel really good as well. When you have an experience like, I feel like I'm meant to be here, I feel like we were meant to meet, I feel like this was meant to occur. This is our clairgustance. It's our, it's our kind of our gut sort of motion, our gut feeling that is embodying and resonating in that moment in such a way that makes the moment seem an absolute encapsulation of what is meant to be. And with that being said, our clairgustance, when it is slightly less developed, can really resonate through our feeling. You feel it in your gut. Somebody tells you a piece of information and you're just like, no, that's not right. Or you perceive somebody and you're like, no, that's not it either. This is our clairgustance that is, connecting, that is communicating from our larger form and our larger psyche to our physical self in the moment. And I suppose if you think about it, our psyche is actually such a large thing. We need some sort of management system to be able to communicate on behalf of the overall, down to the micro moment of something occurring when something has to happen really quickly. So I often think that understanding the intuitives and the intuition systems that we have is just a way of us connecting in with our larger being. And I suppose that's so much of what energetics is at this time, is trying to put a system and a structure and an operational unit to our psyche so it becomes something that we can comprehend, it becomes something that we can manage, and therefore for our mental health and for the general health of our lives and worlds becomes something that we can manage. So with the clairgustant, what we can find with the clairgustant ego is they really like to take everything for themselves. If you've ever had an experience where you've been in a shared moment or you've been in a shared experience with somebody else and let's say you've gone for like a lovely walk or something like that, and there's been this lovely flow to a certain extent throughout the whole thing, but it's the flow in a sort of natural physicalized manner, the great, exertion of the body doing stuff. Clairgustance loves to move. It loves to use the physical vehicle to operate and to achieve the things that it likes to come into fruition. So when you're having this kind of moment or having this shared experience, and what you find afterwards is all of that energy just drops out. Now again, this sounds very similar to, clairvoyance and clairsentience. It just goes, it just dissipates. The difference is it happens in a different sensation of being. It happens in more of a physical body sense than it does in a perceptional, clairsentient sense or an inner perceptional sense. And this is why we just want to have a little bit of, awareness of the distinction between the different sorts of intuitive centers and how they operate, because they are going to manifest within our physical sensation quite differently. Clairgustance really likes having. It reminds me of the Emperor and the Empress card within tarot. Holds itself a certain way, very strong, very solid. And yet there's also a sense of richness and vastness when it comes to the clairgustance. There's a real sense of abundance, I feel a lot. And this real sense of embodiment, very physical. And because the clairgustance is, I suppose, the blend and the merger of the masculine and feminine qualities in one, that's why it has a sense of taking everything away, but then also holding itself very strong and solid. So we see masculine and feminine qualities and elements in clairgustance in a way that we do not with the other intuitives. When a clairgustant person is looking at you, they can really give you a lot, or have the feeling of taking a lot away just in the eye contact. And what that really is the energy that they are throwing around you based on their gaze. So much of the intuitive systems and centers comes from our perception and our inner eye contact, our intention, and what we are thinking about somebody in the moment as we are interacting with them. And that's kind of where the power of all of the energy comes from. And it's how a lot of the mechanical movements occur, because if somebody changes their thought or if they change track in an instant, we feel that. And this is how the Clairgustant individual either gives you or takes away. The Clairgustant really reminds me of a narcissism. People who are narcissistic are very strong in their sense of Clairgustance. That's where they get a lot of their natural capacity to be able to move and hold their energy in this way, because they're so embodied. And like the narcissist, they can love bomb you, but then they can also remove that experience from you at their will, really. I think one of the things that we can say about the Clairgustant is they're also a little bit like all of the other intuitives combined. So if they see you in a good mood, or if they see you with something that they want, they'll often try and take that from your space. But similarly, they'll also be able to put up a reason and a force field like clairaudient or claircognizant in a way that the other intuitives can't. So to a certain extent, I would suggest that Clairgustance is a little bit of a mix of all of these things into one. They seem to be a master of all of these fields, and it's the mastery of all of these that brings them into their power. One of the ways you'll really know if you're interacting with a Clairgustant individual is if you can't leave their company. If you find it really hard to remove yourself or get away from them, you can be quite confident that it's the electromagnetic force field of themselves in their Clairgustant system that is holding you. You know, this is the sense of physicality comes from that. And it's very powerful as well. Out of all of the intuitive systems, Clairgustant is by far the most powerful and therefore can be really the most effective. So that brings this few videos about the different sorts of intuitive egos that we come across, and hopefully helps you understand a bit more finitely the experiences that you're having. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. Please like the video, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again.